Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to finish off this week's Unknown Gems with uh, a person, I guess. Mateo Moreno. The song is Tus Ojos. Before we get into it, I want to remind everybody, if you can, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content I'm putting out. Alright, so let's get to this. We got, like I said, I don't know if this is a person or band name, Mateo Moreno. The song is called Tus Ojos. And, yeah, let's get into it. I see a guitar here, so I'm kind of excited already. And that's a phenomenal start. Yeah, just really gorgeous lines here. Real subtle and laid back, but also a lot of moving direction in its guitar line. So we're in 11/8. Am I counting that right? Yeah, I like how we have that strong 2 beats for each bar. Actually, I guess it'd be 4 strong beats for each bar. Wait, we've moved to 10/8 now? Because we were alternating 5 and 6 pulses. Yeah, so this is pretty standard 5. We have emphasis on 1 and 4, so we're emphasizing getting out of the bar. It gives it a lot of push forward rather than emphasizing 1 and 3, which feels like the ending drags a bit. Now we're in 4/4. Okay. Real nice bass line. Good bass tone too. I gotta go back and hear where we switched from 11/8 to 10/8 though. That was clean. Of emphasis in the guitar work on emphasizing offbeats, which just gives this section even more drive. Yeah, I'm loving this forward directional moment that just keeps intensifying. Getting like a more positive anathema vibe from these guys? Maybe that's just me. Yeah, that bass line is nasty. And I love, it's a nice warm tone on that bass too. hard to focus on one thing. I really tried to key into the keyboard, and then the guitar does something pretty. I'm just like a child with too many toys to play with.
Más salidas, no temas mi amor, tus ojos te guiarán en la oscuridad. Lo único sos vos.
I love that progression.
No queda más que vos.
And a nice fermata top it all off. All right. There was a slick little guitar line there at the end that I thought we were going to be entering into a solo section, and we kind of didn't, but I wish we had. Or alternatively, I wish that the guitar would have had some more of those lead lines throughout. Maybe I just missed them. Like I said, there was a lot going on. I was constantly jumping around with my attention. But yeah, the I just the guitar tone was beautiful. Had this nice brightness to it, and that lick at the end had just had some really good movement, um, and direction, and just the way that he like stayed on some notes and put a nice little bit of vibrato in them before going back into a run. I wish I could have heard a full solo of that style of composition. I don't know if it's his personal writing, but I think it just blends really well with the rest of the music that was going on. And yeah, just having a full blown it was almost like a jazz guitar. Um, yeah, if we could just had a nice guitar section in there. I mean, just a solo section in general. Let that bass solo, let the drummer put a little bit of work in there. Guitar solo. I think that's my only complaint is the song was too vocal dominated. And that's a pretty small complaint to have. So, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in here. Um, yeah, just where do I even start? Um, the instrumental variety, I think, is really interesting, and it's key for me because this could have been a fairly generic pop song, pop rock song, even maybe like a jazzy kind of thing going on. But what stands out to me is all of the voices that are implemented that typically come from uh, Spanish music and Spanish culture. We have a lot of really cool percussion sounds being utilized here that don't typically get utilized in music from other cultures. Tons of shakers. I don't know how many different shaker sounds I heard. I saw 3 or 4 different types of shakers being used. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, shakers kind of sound all the same to me. It's very minor changes, but I'm sure if I had grown up in this musical culture, I'd be able to really hear the difference between all of them. And I think it also gives a lot of credibility to them. They understand that all of these different similar sounding instruments have their own place and own tone and texture and sound, um, and that they have different places in the music to use them. A way to liken this would be a drummer's cymbals or even drums. A drummer can get by with a snare, 2 toms, a crash, a splash, and a hi hat and a bass kick. Pretty standard seven part setup. But when you look at some of these drummers and they have 40 drums around them, some behind them because they've run out of room, if you're not a drummer or someone who listens to music intently, you might not understand why they have them all. Cymbals mostly sound the same. Toms mostly sound the same. Uh, you know, it really takes an ear to begin to hear some of the small differences between symbol radius sizes or symbol types, or the way it's constructed or the shapes that it has in it, and they all create different sounds, different personalities. um, so yeah, the shakers are the same way, and it was really cool to see so many different ones in the video. um, so I have to bring that up, that different cultures have different instruments and different affinities for different sounds, and I just love that, at least in their percussion section, although I could also say some of the guitar playing had a little bit of Spanish elements to it, but it's just really cool to see the culture come into the music while still retaining a very modern global sound. um, the song, I don't think sounds too specific to any culture. It just sounds like a pop rock song for the most part, but it has these little elements that allow them to kind of inject some of what they enjoy and the sounds that they like into their music that aren't necessarily seen in music around the world. So I had to bring that up because that's just awesome. I love to see that kind of thing happening. Um, the other major thing for them that I would say is their compositional layering. This is a nightmare for engineering, at least as far as my engineering goes. I'm not a good engineer, but I would not want to be in their shoes. But there is a lot going on at any time, and they went for a super clean mix. This is very much the antithesis to something like the noisier metals, where they have lots of layers, but they purposely blend it into a single wall of sound. This is lots of layers, and they want them all to be individually heard. So first of all, the composition needs to be very strong. Um, you have to have a nice ebb and flow to parts. They need to overlap each other, but not suffocate each other. Like, you need to have room for each instrument in the soundscape. So as far as writing music, you need to make sure that your notes are lining up well, that you have gaps in each instrument's melody line so that other instruments have room to exist, to be. Um, your harmonies need to be aware of all the other instruments that are playing as well, so that you don't have any notes that clash, because for the most part this was a harmonious song. We didn't really enter into too many points of intended dissonance. So unintentional dissonance would definitely not be something they would want to achieve. And then not only do you need to compose it with all these instruments in mind and giving them all space and room and areas where they can play together and around each other, then your engineer needs to mix it so they can all be heard. And that's a lot of voices to worry about, especially when you take into account that in the studio version, you're probably double tracking and triple tracking some stuff so that you can get, intended widths and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, this would have been a project to master and mix. But the end result shows a lot of care and love and passion from both the musicians, whoever wrote it, whether that was them as a group or maybe they just have one composer, and then their engineers who had to go ahead and make it sound great even after it was written well. Just a phenomenal piece of music there. Um, Also, it's just something we don't see too often on the channel, is just bright and happy, without without going into the pop territory. I understand that not a lot of people are big pop fans in the community, so I try to find ways to introduce happier, more positive feeling music into the channel, because we really work a lot within heavier, more pensive, sometimes sadder, aggressive music, really more into the negative emotional area. Um, and it's always nice to have a little bit of refresher like this, to have some more positivity in the music. And like I said, This song is just gorgeous from start to finish. It feels like being free and happy and almost carefree, and just enjoying life. I don't know what the song is about. I don't understand the Spanish language, and even if I did, as I've mentioned before, lyrics are usually not something I pick up, and not something I'm going to be able to analyze quickly on the fly for a reaction video. But it's just a real nice, soothing song. It's also a smooth song, that's for sure. And I just dig that atmosphere. I really do. Uh, the other thing I really got to touch on is that bass. The bass work was phenomenal. The bass tone was phenomenal. It had this nice chunky width to it, but it also had a bit of dullness on the edges, which is probably because it was finger picked. Um, and just has these nice warm attacks that just, I don't know, man, just feels like home. I don't know if anyone else gets that. This bass tone is just marvelous. So yeah, this was a good find. They're kind of bigger, 150,000 subscribers. I think they're one of the bigger bands that we've checked out for this Unknown Gems week, but I'd wager to say they're fairly unknown in the critical community. At least I'm hoping so. If everybody responds and said that they already knew about them and they already loved them and they already have all the albums, well, I mean, maybe they weren't a great pick for the week, but it's still good music, so I'm not gonna argue with that one. I'm glad they got on the channel regardless. But yeah, so really digging that. If you know of them, hit me up with some more suggestions because that was delightful. You can also comment about things that you enjoyed. Maybe I didn't pick them up. Maybe things that bounced off of you. I don't know. All those things in the comment section. I'm done telling you my piece. You guys get to tell me your piece. When you're done commenting, you can check upstairs right above the comment section for the description box. There's a link in there for Linktree. And Linktree is this really convenient thing that has everything in it. You want to check out the Twitter, you want to check out the Discord, you want to go look at my last FM, see what I've been listening to. Bunch of links are in there. That's the place to be. You can also like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Those buttons are right above the description box. I'll be here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, every day, same time. Starting up some special selections. Yeah, starting up some special selections. And, yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, we're doing special selections tomorrow. If you want to drop by, like I mentioned, 5 p.m. EST as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical and not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.